worries. Thanks very much, Jerry. Great presentation there, Scott. Very, very exciting. So Eagle Mountain Mining, we've got quite a significant copper project in Arizona. We've got two actually. We're focusing on our Oracle Ridge, which is the focus of my presentation. We are working to build a critical mass of our resources to be able to put this into production, and particularly we're laying the foundations for green copper production is going to be the focus. Important disclosures. So before I get into it, just some recent updates. As I said, we've got a significant resource. We've been building that. We've been drilling outside the resource with 3 drill rigs, and we've been getting great results because we need to build up our resource. Some of the results there that you can see, 22 metres at 2.8%, 12 metres at 1.8. We've also been doing a minor amount of upgrade work. Some of the other results have been quite surprising, 46 metres at 2.1%. As well. So drilling's been going really, really well for us. Over 5,000 metres drilled in January alone with the 3 rigs. We've got working on a JORC resource update. That's due out in the coming weeks, so not too far away. That's going to include 55 holes. And hot off the press today, we've announced that we are recommissioning our existing underground mine to enable underground diamond drilling to commence. This is a step change and a no-brainer for our exploration strategy. And it's also going to enable various aspects of our studies to progress a lot faster. So for those of you who don't know us, Oracle Ridge, we've got a significant JORC resource, 12 million tonnes, so that's existing, that's going to get upgraded. And it's located on the side of a hill, which gives us really good credentials to be a low emission mine, and I'll explain why in just a little bit. We've got very good infrastructure on site. We're 18 kilometres of development, which doesn't need dewatering. There's one drive which has got some water in it, so more than 90% doesn't need to be dewatered. So that's really good for our ability to get underground for this diamond drilling campaign. Arizona, Tier 1 jurisdiction, as we've heard from previous presenters. We've been drilling since September. We started off with 1 rig. We've recently gone to 3 rigs, and now we're going to have 3 rigs with one of those being underground. Highly regarded board. Charlie Bass originally set up the company. Lots of you know Charlie, very, very well known in the mining industry, supported with Rick Crabb and Roger Port on our board. We're very leveraged to the copper price, and I'll show you why, because we've got a lot more copper at varying cut-off grades. We're located near Tucson. Down there is the Oracle Ridge project, and we're in a part of Arizona. There's a big belt called the Laramide Arc, which is where you get these big major copper projects. So we're surrounded by the majors, and our project shares a lot of the same similarities as those big major mining projects to what we're seeing, although it's the tip of the iceberg in our view at Oracle Ridge. But what it does mean is you've got local smelters, you've got rail, you've got road, all the mining services that you need, and that's really, really important. This is an elevated view of our mine area. We've been spending, most of our drilling's been up in this mine area up here. That's where we've got 3 rigs currently. We're waiting on some permits to drill Oryx. This is a really exciting target, and there's another area called Golden Eagle, which I'll talk about a bit later in the presentation. But they're all within, really the mining area, because down the bottom here is the tailings dam, not too far away. So in terms of reopening the mine to enable diamond drilling. These photos were taken in February last year. There was drilling undertaken by previous owners in 2014, but this is great ground conditions. So our ability to get in there is really good. There's a lot of infrastructure on site. There's transformers and fans. There's a lot of the electrical infrastructure, which is really going to help us get underground. Now, why is that going to be important? Well, the drill holes are about half as long. So remember, step back a little while. This is what Bellevue did. They called it the game changer. Well, it sure is. From a productivity and a cost perspective, drilling half the length holes is pretty important. So that enables us to faster upgrade of the mineral resource, and in particular, our indicated and measured categories as well. It allows us to start taking bulk samples for metallurgical test work and also geotech studies that we are planning to do. So we don't have to go and try and take it from quarter core and half core. We can go and do proper test work from decent sized samples. I talked about being a low emission mine. Now, we have quite a unique opportunity here. We have 2 portals which go in off the side of the hill, and then it ramps up from there. So what does that mean? That means we can start using battery or hybrid electric equipment for our mining operation. We're not trying to mine something from a depth where those sort of equipment doesn't quite work yet because you haven't got the energy density to bring it up, but it'll work for this type of operation, we believe. Now, what does that mean? That means that you don't need as much ventilation requirements, which reduces your energy consumption. And as we've already heard, energy is quite cheap in Arizona, but that's not the point. Reduce how much energy we need, and then that's going to reduce our emissions. It also then means we can start looking at downhill conveyors and where to position the concentrator, again, to be energy efficient. Gravity's our friend. It has a lot of flow-on effects. ESG is part of our DNA. We were really proud to be interacting with our local community. This is Brian Paul, our Chief Geo, helping out the local fireys when they needed our site to be able to access some fires with helicopter support. And then there's a photo there of shortly thereafter, all saying thanks. So our JORC resource, which is due out very soon, it's based off 55 new holes. So 12 million tonnes at the moment. We really saw that potential to expand the resource. This JORC update is going to be really focusing on expanding at this stage, and then we can also then look to upgrade it over the coming months. And as you can see, a lot of the resources around the existing development, they took out most of the previous ore. They've mined about 1 million tonnes out of this when it was last mined in the mid-90s. Is around the existing development. So that's great from a restart perspective because we've got a lot of the capital developments already in place. If you had to go and put in 18 kilometres of development, you're probably talking north of about $100 million these days to go and install that. So that's a great ability for us to be able to get back in quickly. Let's wait and see what this JORC resource update is going to be. It's going to be the first one, and then we'll be looking to do another one. At the moment, we've got 56 holes pending results, which are in the laboratories. So there's plenty of news flow still to come through after that. I said there's a lot of leverage to higher copper prices. Well, this is why. We've done the last cut-off grade at 1% cut-off, which gives you 184,000 tonnes of copper. If you change that, as you can see here, there's a cut-off grade from 1 to 0.8, the amount of copper goes from 184 to 242,000 tonnes. So it's about a 30% increase with that change in copper price. So this project has a lot of leverage to rising copper prices. When we did that last resource, the copper price was about $3 a pound, and it's currently at about $4.50. The opportunity when we first acquired the project was resource growth. There's a lot of areas which have been very sparsely drilled. These are areas which we've been initially focusing on, and the results we've got to date have certainly been delivering, certainly, I'd say, in excess of our expectations. They've been fantastic. We put out an exploration target about how big this could be, and we've got 12 million tonnes. We can see this going up to 30 to 40 million tonnes, so an extra 14 to 29 on top of what we've already got. Now, that was based off a geophysical anomaly, so expanding what we've currently got, expanded out to the extent of that geophysical anomaly, and we discounted that. But at the moment, outside the resource here, we're getting about 90% of our holes are hitting mineralisation. That's a great strike rate. So the guys, hats off to our geos for recognising this opportunity and now delivering on those results. So these are some of the results. I don't like talking numbers too much, but it's hard not to when they're quite good. So here we go, 22 metres at 2.8. So these are just some of the, I think last time, if anyone was here last time, we had some even better ones too, but these are just some of the recent ones that have been coming out. Down the bottom there, so 28 metres at 1.6. We're getting some nice high grade zones up to 6% copper, 12 metres at 4% up there. You can read the rest of them, but it's been very consistent, and this just seems to be getting better and better at the TALON. Now, these are all outside that existing resource, and these results here will be included into the new resource. We've also seen some nice big thick zones. So down the bottom, 91 metres going at 1.4%. 91 metres. That's been really, really good. And that area down the bottom has been modelled to daylight out at an old mine called the Leatherwood mine. And look, it's been great, and you can even see where it daylights out. So it makes it easier for the geos. I don't say that, actually, because I'm not a geo, but you can see where it outcrops, so that's really nice. So we've done a moderate amount of infill drilling too in the existing resource. Now, what's nice is our resource is a series of stacked lodes. So when you're getting into mining, that's great because you can open up multiple mining fronts. And what we've seen is there's a lot of areas which had never been assayed in between the main identified lodes. So here we are, and we've gone to see this 110 metres at bit over 1%, 110, or they're 1.1% copper as well. So look, this is another reason why we've said we've got to get underground and start drilling this because there's a lot of great opportunity and there's a lot of upside that we're seeing. As you can see in the middle there, it's a bit hard to see, 18 metres at 3 point, there you go, 18 metres at 3%. Compared to existing holes around it was certainly much better. So this is going to be a focus. We've got to upgrade some of this resource. So this was last mined in the mid-90s. The metallurgical recoveries from the reports at the time, they got around 90, up to about 95% recoveries in copper. It's quite a simple flow sheet. Crush, grind, float, filter. Coarse, grind, so not ultra-fine grinding or anything like that. They produced a bulk copper, silver, gold concentrate with no deleterious elements, quite a saleable product, and quite a conventional flow sheet. Silver and gold got recoveries just above 80% too. So from that side, but we need to get underground. We're discovering these new areas too, so we've got to do the met test work on some of these new areas which we're finding. That processing plant has now gone. It had a throughput of about 250 to 300,000 tonne a year, but we can see that opportunity to be mining at a much higher rate, which is going to give us that, reduce our unit costs. So when we saw this project, we saw that it had a lot of similarities to big other projects in Arizona. So we've started looking around us to try and start piecing together, where's the feeder system for this? And, a lot of other projects have had quite big discoveries around them. So whilst we've been drilling out the main zones, we've also been looking further afield. So two of the areas, Oryx, up here, we've seen some outcropping mineralisation, and there's another area there, Golden Eagle, where we've put in some initial drilling, and we've had some very, very encouraging results. So this is some outcropping mineralisation at Oryx, so you get some good comfort that there should be more mineralisation there. Now this is I'll tell you a quick little story. I was at a copper conference just before Christmas, and there was a bunch of copper people talking, and the chief geo from Sol Gold got up there and he was talking about how do you find big projects, and he wasn't really talking about Sol Gold in particular. It was a bit of an educational thing. And he said, look, if you're coming across and you start seeing lots of veining, you start counting your veining. And then he goes, well, then if you start to see lots of silica flooding in your veining, well, you start getting pretty interesting. But then if you start seeing galena and sphalerite and these other minerals, well, you're really starting to get pretty interesting. And you just got to keep on drilling in those zones. Well, we've drilled 13 holes at Golden Eagle, and it made my job really easy because I got up next and I said, well, it's funny you said that because look at all these holes that we've just been getting. So we're really excited by Golden Eagle. It's really starting to piece together the big story, and here are a couple of the photos that we've had from that area. So our strategy, build a critical mass. We're drilling from underground. We're drilling from surface. We're going to be drilling from underground. Commence our metallurgical studies, which is going to help us with the tailings dam design for our approvals, and also then into the mine design. Our development timetable, we've got a JORC resource coming out in a few weeks, and then we'll look to do another JORC resource later this year. At the same time, we are just going to keep on drilling. That's the plan. We've got to grow this, certainly while we're getting the results and moving into the approvals. Corporately, 230 million shares on issue, market cap of $140 million, tightly held. Charlie Bass's entities, employees, management have about 33% of the company. So our value proposition, we've got a JORC resource, which is significant. It's growing. We're getting a lot of good drill results. About 90% of holes are hitting mineralisation, so it's going to grow. Our drilling program is accelerating to underground. Very good credentials to be a low emission mine, not offsetting it, but actually producing copper with less emissions. rapid restart potential. We've got the underground mine. We're in a tier 1 jurisdiction surrounded by the majors. Come and see us. Fabio Vergara and Bree Ivory are here, who are all over our project. We'd love to talk to you. Please come and see us at our booth.
Thank you.